Good morning. Today is Saturday, November 7th, 2015, and doing a trade review for the trading day of Friday, November 6th. And what we're looking at is on the ES is split out profile from yesterday and the overnight as well. We pretty much traded in balance in range in value most of the night, leading up into the jobs numbers. Then there was an attempt to go higher, balanced out, and then when the numbers came out at 8:30, the market went crazy because it was a significant number. Went up, went down, went up, went down. Came all the way down actually to 82, taking out Thursday's low. But then leading into the open, there was excess on this low. Came all the way back up until we opened back in value in range. Now the first attempted direction was to the upside, and they couldn't get the overnight high. Then they made a run for the downside and took out Thursday's low, but came back in. When B period opened, in about 4 or 5 minutes, it had made a tail down to 82.25 and came up and hung around back here in the A range above the previous low of day for about 3 or 4 minutes. Because we couldn't take out the overnight low initially, I mean, this was a bit risky for a couple reasons. One, very early in the day, things really haven't set up yet. I took a position, is what I'm saying, at 84.50, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So 84.50, right where B opened in the B period, I took a position long and got filled on a stop after it had come back into the previous day's range again, having already made a tail to 82.25. And it was risky because we'd been back and through the open 20 times at least, okay, before we ever came down there. So that's strike one, okay. Secondly, value, I don't give a lot of significance to value myself early on in the day because it can change fairly quickly. But nevertheless, truth was value was overlapping to lower. So that makes it, again, a bit more risky. So in this case, it was a reasonable trade. However, I didn't want to risk much. This is a situation where it's best to take a smaller position and also have make sure you have either a tight stop or a very good structural stop or something like that. So this was one that he was either going to go or it wasn't. But I took a shot, and I got filled again. It had been in here, right in this area, for about 3 to 4 minutes, and I think about minute 4 I got filled, and then immediately came back. It went up a tick and came all the way back down, and you can see that we went. It made a new tail, took out the overnight low pretty significantly, came all the way down to the pivot point right here. You can see the pivot point, and stopped. Now this was a message that, first of all, in my mind, this is now a weak low. Okay, this is a very visible reference. Don't know how high the odds were we'd come back through it, but it was less once the C didn't take much back, because this is a very significant amount of excess right here. So anyway, so that was a losing trade. All right, I risked. I got stopped out at 83.50. I put my stop just on the other side of the previous low of day. Even though it had been traded through, it wasn't really acting as support. I knew if we came back through again, back through here, we'd already had, we were probably going to be, basically I was looking at this, if we hadn't been through here, this is where we would have made a poor low. So to me, it has the same dynamic. So got filled here, stopped out here for minus a point on my position. Okay, so I still like this trade though. I just didn't feel, between the effort and the way initially the volume was down here, especially they kind of got, I mean, there was a lot of heavy volume, but it couldn't take out this low. So the buyers had stepped in, drove it pretty far back, opened in a very high part of C. which sometimes will be significant to me. Um, at any rate, when C came down and tagged the overnight low and reversed, now we have this huge amount of excess, and coming back up through. This was a bit of, I could have waited for a little more confirmation, but I had the information I needed. I felt so. I took a long, again at 84.50, and I took off. Let's see. I took off my position at 87.75. 87.75. So right up here. So that was good for almost 4 points. Okay, so that was that trade. All right. So let me. Okay, now it's a little more difficult for me to think back of like why exactly I was thinking to myself, well, why didn't I hang on to that a little bit longer? If I remember correctly, the reason I didn't was I wanted to get out of the position. Let's see, just a moment. Under this level, because for all I knew, sellers might step in again here at the 88.25. Even though we've been through this level a lot of times, you can see that at various times it's acted as support or resistance, or seemed to. So at any rate, I just decided to exit and relax for a bit, wait for a better situation. And one of the things that I'm still waiting for the day to do is really set up. Now today, not today, yesterday was, this is an ugly profile. This was a strange, well, in some respects it was strange. It's not, it was basically rotational, but there were attempts in different directions, and I don't know if maybe the Keystone Pipeline, I don't know what time that news came out. Maybe that had something to do with, like, for example, this, I felt this was a strange part of the day here. And even, this was mainly just rotational, so it wasn't too bad, but even still, it still had a, like, this was a bit ugly down here. All right, I'm getting off track. Back to the trades. So let me, okay, so the next time I took a trade was a bit later in the day. It was about a little after 1 o'clock. And let's see what was going on there. All right, the next time I took a position here, had to figure out which letter it was in H period, which was at a little after 1 p.m. And what I was looking for at the time was the fact that we had, in this rotation after C period, we had started to one time frame down. We had an inside bar in E. It was just balancing. It wasn't really a strong conviction down. F couldn't take out D. G couldn't get, it just didn't get very far. The range wasn't very convincing. It all felt rotational, that we were going to get a rotation back up. Once we were back now into, again, prior day's range, and I felt that, I watched H open here, and I'm not going to split my profile off here because, well, actually, I can do something. Just a moment. All right, so what I've done, I pulled in this this volume, and what we're looking at right here is where we opened in, and H was right at 84. So it traded down, and we had attenuation, about 1900, 1500, 121. So I was already ready. I was looking for the fact if we came up with higher volume and we stopped one time framing down, I was going to get in here at 85, which is exactly what I did. So I took a position at 85 long, and I was either going to catch a rotation or what I'd mentioned. I think I'd mentioned it in the pre-market at some point. I tried to watch a little bit of it. I don't remember exactly where I'd said it, but I do remember saying something to this effect that we might get I really did feel that there's a shortcoming rally in the works. I feel like the market has had a hard time going down um, every time they've been trying to sell it. Even though they've been selling rallies, they've just been having a hard time. And it seems like it's getting too short. And we get little minor short covering rallies and little minor long liquidation breaks, but I really think that there will be um, a little bit of some acceleration. We've got places where there are stops, and later in the day yesterday, I thought we were going to get some of that action. Didn't happen, but I did anticipate it and made some money out. But anyway, in this case as well, I didn't know if we were just going to rotate back up, but I wanted to try to catch the ride as early as I can and see what happened, and that's exactly what I did. So I bought at 85, and let's see, the first one I took off, first part of the position. Let's see here, was at 89.50. So let's see, 85, 89.50. So I held on to this, and once again, I've made some, I don't want to say mistakes, but I could have managed this trade better. I actually should have taken off part of my position here. Again, like I did previously. See, in this case, it worked against me because it came back. It didn't go right through it. It came back, and C period went right through it when I was long then. In this case, it came back down, and actually I took a little heat. At this point, I'm like, I should have just flattened way up here or whatever, because I didn't know what was going to happen. And this was, to me, a function of the uncertainty of the day, the choppiness of the day. It was not an easy day to trade. In my opinion, and no day necessarily is, but right here, 20 times through the open, that is something that I need to in the future always carry this kind of information forward, because throughout the entire day, unless we really start to get the day is developed into a normal variation day or a trend day or something, because this was just choppy, so it came back, took a little bit of heat, and fortunately, I took it up, and where I got out was I took off half my position at 89.50. So the way it was coming up too, also I did do it right on the line, right at the value area low from the previous day. So I took off that, so that was good for 4.5 handles, and then I have to say the other one I got out with a profit, but I let it came back against me again. You see, I period came all the way back, and I decided this time I was going to get out, so I got out. I didn't take a loss, but it came back at me quite a bit. So at any rate, it was not the best managed trade, but it was a great entry in my opinion, considering the day. It was a good shot, and it worked right away. It worked immediately, and those are the best ones. Those are the most fun. But I had another situation where it didn't work immediately, though it did work, and I'll talk about that in a second. But before I do, I just want to talk about what I should have done as well. It was smart of me to take off part of my position here, but what would have been better for me to do was to possibly even exit my entire position once it started coming back below this level. Like immediately, if it came back below 88.25, this is a level that I've been watching. This is one I find has some meaning, continues to still have some meaning to some traders, and I should have said, all right, now I'm in this trade. I've already taken off this, and I'm not going to let it come back against me like I let it initially. If it comes back below this level, get out. But I didn't do that. I and I don't remember what I was doing. I do get distracted. I do get conversations with people, and I should not do that. That's I tend to try to be easygoing about that, but I should say, hey, I'll batten down the hatches. I need total focus here. I don't think I'll ever get exactly like that, but I do need to be a little bit more selfish in that respect. So, anyway, but what I should have done again is, let's say I got out of this position, okay, right here. I could have gotten back in. I should have waited till J and found another place to buy. Maybe buy when it came back here. Could have bought it on the limit, not taking that much heat. You know, decided to maybe put my stop back in at halfback, because halfback was here. We never took out the higher low in the range, so halfback was here throughout the entire day. So maybe have a stop back below halfback, something like that. All right, so I didn't mean to make this video so long, but I will say this, and this goes to all my videos. I'm not making these videos for people. I'm making them for myself. I find it helpful to me to have to articulate what I'm doing, what I did, or my thoughts on the day, as if I'm, you know, let's say I was standing up and telling someone something or talking to a group of people. It just puts your mind in a different mode, and I find it to me to be what's the word I'm looking for? Not strenuous, but like, you know, when you go do a workout or something, you get resistance. So it takes a little more effort. That's what I'm saying. Than to just be alone with my own thoughts on this, or to go back and look at the record and look, okay, what was I thinking here? No, if I talk about it, I actually discover new things as I'm trying to explain. I realize new things. So, all right, moving on. The next entry I took again was long. I did think that when we began to one time frame up here, that it was significant. I thought this time it's going to go. First of all, you know, they took out the stops and I took out the stops and excuse me above H, E, and D. Okay, and that's where we got a little pop here. When J came and they bought it at half back here, went all the way up, you know, took out the stops in I and C for anybody who shorted, came all the way to unchanged almost. I was a little bit surprised at K's sell-off. I thought, wow, you know, I'm glad that I didn't try to go long again here, and you know, there's something happens that actually can be good and bad, and that is when you get out of a trade. For example, I talked about, let's say I'd gotten stopped out of this long on the other half of my position, and if I went, you know, thinking I'm going to get back in J period, well, that would have been a positive trade. But what if I would have said, all right, I'm going to get out and unchanged, and then when K opens up, I'm going to get long again? Well, K took out J's low and started to trade lower. Now, I don't know that I would have done that, because I don't think I would have liked that J came all the way back here and K opened here, went back into value, and came out of value. I would like to think that I would decide, no, I'm going to pass on that long. Either way, I passed on the short too. I really had a bias towards a rotation to the upside that would turn into a move that will take out the high of the day, which it never did. Move this up here. It never did, but it threatened to. That's for sure. I think I was a little optimistic for that at the end too. It caused me to hold over into the runoff period on my next trade, which I don't normally like to do. But it was a Friday. Volume seemed to be, I don't know, I wasn't as intimidated by the cash close. Sometimes that can be wild. I don't want to be involved in that. All right. We had such a prominent POC. You know, we were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wide, and also a 9 wide at the VPOC. The volume point of control was way down here at 85.50, and that tends to limit the upside. So the only thing that was going to mitigate that would be the short covering. This people, and it was Friday. I really was hoping for that. So, all right, back to what I did as a trade. I was feeling kind of jiggy, I guess. When L opened up and came back above the 88 quarter level, they bought it at half back here. Sorry, well, yes, you could argue they bought it at half back of the day, but they also bought it at K's half back. So when they were buying here, and I'm going to pull the attenuation in. I think it probably went behind, didn't it? Yeah. So let's see where that was. That would have been Yeah, I bought it in towards, I believe, the end of L period. All right, one moment. I look at the record. Just a minute. Yes, I bought it at about 25 after. So L had 25 minutes and could never get back past the halfway mark of K, and that to me was a message. You know, every time they'd come down, they'd buy, and you can see there was attenuation. Um, and the last 5 minutes started to build volume here and break out. And this also meant it would stop. Well, hadn't really started to. It's started to set up that it might one time bring back down, but L couldn't take out K's low. Nevertheless, I liked 2 ticks above would be, to me, would break any short action or be at least a higher odds that we were going to continue higher, which happened. So I got in at, no, you know what? I front run this a bit. Now that I look at it, I got in at 90 at the very end um, of the K period, and I thought that it might actually pop through, just the way it was building volume, the way it just couldn't. They were giving it up on the short side. Well, it came back against me immediately, about 4 or 5 ticks immediately. Of course, when we opened, you can see we opened in um, M period at 89.75, so that was right here. We opened and came down. I didn't really take that much heat. I mean, I must have taken maybe 4 ticks of heat, 4 or 5 maybe. Once I got filled, popped. It went with me right away, and then came back at me immediately, which I didn't like. But I also didn't want to buy it down here, anticipating it. And somebody asked me questions like, "Why didn't you buy it down here before?" Well, I wanted that confirmation. Now, I'm looking at some other things too. I had a balance area here as well, or like right under it. So this was going to be breaking out of the balance. It was a breakout trade for me. That's the way I look at it. So, all right, this video has gone a lot longer than I intended. It's already 22 minutes. But again, I'm doing this for me, and the more I do this, the more it helps me to understand what I'm doing. I don't have to think about it. It's very natural, instinctive. I can actually think about a lot more things um, as I lay down these, as I work out these neural pathways in my mind. All right, so when M opened up, 89.75, ticked down, boom, and it went pretty good, pretty heavy at first. So the bottom line is I did hang on to this trade. It really just hammering it. Let me just say up here, hammering it, trying to get up there. And I even held it into, came back at me a little bit. I didn't like that I did this, but I was getting greedy. You know, we'd already in M period made a weak high and a poor high here. Um, I don't mind calling that a poor high even in intraday. Just, this is a new auction. Everything from up here, I could have split this off. It's a new auction. And poor high, weak high right here. I thought, there's a possibility in the last 15, 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. It just depends on how, I don't remember exactly where we were. I know we'd gotten up here. And, I really felt that once we got through here, above unchanged, if we could, it was just a matter of people just letting go. And I really felt we could, 80% rule is in effect, by the way. That was another deciding factor. That I really felt the odds were high with the 80% rule would be in effect. And it was momentarily. Once it broke out, it was off. But anyway, I really felt we could get maybe up to the value area high. That's what I was going for, at least there. I have to admit, I was overtaken by wanting to be right and a bit of greed. And sometimes it's fun being on the edge of your seat. Sometimes it's fun seeing what's going to happen with some skin in the game. And that was operating in me. It was late in the day, late in the week, signing off the trading for the week. And it was just like one more one more, what's the word? I don't like using the term spin at the wheel because contrary to the opinion of uneducated people, trading is not gambling. All right, so I got out at 93.50. I was trying to get out at, because it had already come up to 94. I was really trying to, I didn't have a limit, but I was trying to get out at least 93.75, but it didn't work out. It's starting to get a little jiggy, so I held it almost to the very end, got out at 93.50. So 90 to 93.50, it's another 3.5 points on my position size. So let's see, what did I end up? Well, I'm not going to get into how many points that is total, but like positions and everything, but I will say that it is at least, let's see here, Control C, just a moment. Okay, I was just trying to add it up for my own edification here. How many points was that? But I think when I was talking about this entry at 90 and getting out at, no, wait a minute, 93.50. All right, something, I'm looking at the record here, something looked wonky. I think, okay, I had gotten long at 85. I think I said that. And I got out at, I did get out at 89.5. So I don't know why I said I got out. Oh, no, I didn't. I did, no, okay, I did say that. I got out right here at the value area low. That's 4.5 points. I think I might have said 3.5. That's 4.5 points. The last trade was 3.5 points. Then the first trade, I lost a point, and the second trade, I got 3 3/4 points. So let me add that up. All right, so I took off the point from the first loss. So 4.5, 3.5, 3.75 adds up to 11.75 minus the 1 point. So 10 3/4 points on the day. Now that's not per lot, anything like that. That's like what each trade, the maximum was in each trade for the position. So if the position could have been 1 lot, it could have been 10 lots. That's not important. I'm just saying that's what the maximum amount I took out of each entry. So that's maybe a little bit ambiguous, but that's because it's only my business. And 10.75, that's nice out of the range of the day. Let's see what the range was here. 18.75. All right. So that means even with the loss that I took out, I got 57% of the range that I took out of the market yesterday. And it was, in my opinion, one of the harder days. I'm actually happy that I was managed to do that. I didn't feel like I was doing that because it was just a crazy day, I thought. And yeah, just so wild. And this was back and forth, and this was back and forth, and then started to go up like normal, and then whamp. You know, this was just not an easy day in my opinion. And I, you know, just tried to trade my plan. It wasn't the easiest, but you know, using the range of the day as balance, and using, I mean, the range of the prior day as a balance area, being mindful of the balance area, the value area, looking at the 88.25 level as a balance area. All those things helped a lot to decide what to do and when. So, all right, if you hung with me for 30 minutes, great. I hope that helped you in some way. If not, I'm sorry you wasted your time. I'm sure that it's really wasn't, but anyway, all right. Well, have a great day. Thanks.